In part 1, we learned the basics of how to connect to Cloud Firestore through our Windows app. Now let's build a fully functional app to take advantage of what we learned. So the first thing we're going to do is go back into console.firebase.google.com. We're going to go back into our project that we had from the last video. We'll click on Firestore Database. And we just want to delete any records that are currently in there. We'll just click Delete Document. And there we go, it's cleared out. We can now build a method called getGroceries where we attempt to get the data from the grocery collection. We're going to do this at the top of Firestore Home State. Here we are grabbing our collection of grocery items from Firebase, sorted by name, and then we are returning it. Now we can create a list view to display these grocery items. Let's clear out everything from the columns Children. And because we will have to wait for this information to come from an external source, we will connect the grocery items together using a future builder. You can see the future builder grabs the grocery items using the method we created, and it will provide the data to us to use in the list view via this snapshot. So we'll go ahead and run this. Right now we just have the text widget showing placeholders so we can make sure there aren't any errors. Now let's make sure that data is coming from the grocery collection. Right here, we're just making sure that the snapshot has data, but it shouldn't since we removed all the grocery items from the collection. And it does say no groceries in list. We're going to build a full CRUD system, which stands for Create, Read, Update, and Delete. We unofficially have our read, so let's move on to add. We're going to create an add method underneath the getGroceries method. Fairly straightforward. We will send the grocery name to this method and then add it to the grocery collection. You'll also notice that we are not returning anything from this method to try to keep this tutorial as simple as possible. In a real application, you would want to return that this was successful so you could display a message if it didn't work for some reason. To add a grocery item, we're going to need a text field. Let's add a text controller at the top of Fire Home State. And then we can add a text box above the future builder inside the column. Now we will add a button below the text field that we will press to add the text to the grocery collection. We will put it in a row as we will be adding more buttons to it as we go. Now we just need to call add grocery from within on pressed. So we will call the add grocery method using the text from the text field, and once it has finished, we will call set state and clear the text field. Now you may get this error at some point. It says the null check operator is used on a null value. That's because with the exclamation point, we are guaranteeing that there's going to be data, and it's more or less saying you can't guarantee that. So we're going to stop the app and we're going to put a condition right up here below the snapshot. So we will check to make sure the snapshot has data, and if it does not, we're going to display loading on the screen. This should make Flutter happy and we can move forward. So now we see no groceries in the list still. I'm going to type in apples into the text field, press the add button. And now it says groceries exist. Now that we have data, let's hook up that list view. So when we go to refresh this, You'll notice we get another error. This error message says vertical viewport was given unbound height. So we're going to add a few properties to the list view. Now when we refresh the app, we can see apples in the list view. So now we have read and create. Let's update our grocery item. We will start by adding a variable under our text controller. This will be the ID of the grocery item that we select for update. The question mark on string means this variable can be null or not have a value, which it won't have a value if a grocery item hasn't been selected for update. We can now add our update method underneath the add grocery method. So we will pull the document based on the selected ID, and then we will update its grocery name. Now we're going to add an edit button beside the add button. We can see the update button there. The on press for the update button will be very similar to the on press for the add button. We will just call update grocery instead of add grocery. And then we will put the grocery name in the text field when the grocery name is clicked. For that, we're going to use a tappable list tile. So we will store the grocery ID inside the selected ID variable, and then we will write the grocery name to the text field. Now, if you select the item you added previously, you should see it in the text field. If we modify it in some way and hit the update button, we should see the update successfully. Finally, we need to add a way to delete the grocery item. Once again, we will create the delete grocery method underneath the update grocery method. This one's a little bit simpler because we're not having to pass the text value to this method. We can just delete the record based on the selected ID. We'll add one last final button. We see the button there. And then we'll add our on-pressed code. So now if you click on your item and you press the delete button, it should go back to no groceries in the list. In part 3, we're going to clean up the UI and we're going to add some error handling and such. If you enjoyed this video, you might also like this one. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, please consider subscribing. Thanks, and I hope to see you in the next one.